Although Christopher Nolan's movies often offer answers to their many mysteries, his next project could challenge this long-standing tradition. Almost all of Christopher Nolan's movies have an array of instantly identifiable trademarks. Most of Nolan's work features nonlinear storytelling, an approach that facilitates a lot of unexpected twists and turns. A lot of Nolan's movies feature colder color palettes defined by blue and gray tones, and many of his projects utilize practical effects over CGI where possible. However, Nolan's rumored next movie could upend some of these conventions and challenge the director to broaden his horizons. Although rumor persisted that Nolan had been attached to Bond 26 for years, the director's next project is now said to be a remake of the seminal 60s TV show The Prisoner. A trippy sci-fi miniseries, The Prisoner followed Number 2, a spy who wakes up to find himself held hostage by an organization. Stranded on a seemingly idyllic island, Number 2 spends the entire miniseries attempting to work out who captured him and what their motives are. Infamously, the show ends with a psychedelic sequence that doesn't answer either question but raises many more unanswered mysteries. Christopher Nolan's take on The Prisoner could over-explain. The cult series is infamous for its impenetrable, ambiguous finale. A remake of The Prisoner would live or die based on its ambiguity, but leaving enigmas unexplained is hardly a hallmark of Nolan's famously clinical storytelling style. The director's movies run like clockwork, often outlining their complicated plots between breathless action set pieces. While it has been a while since Nolan made a straightforward remake, even his most complicated and cerebral movies can't be faulted for not explaining their stories. Where directors like David Lynch and Richard Kelly intentionally leave many story strands unexplained, Nolan's movies neatly tie together any loose ends as their stories unfold. From Inception to Interstellar, Nolan's movies have dealt with topics as complicated as dreams within dreams and the very fabric of spacetime itself. However, even 2020's naughty time-jump thriller Tenet did explain most of its world and the rules involved in its trippy story. In contrast, The Prisoner is influential, iconic, and famous mostly because of how vague, ambiguous, and unclear it was. The miniseries offered no easy answers to viewers, instead taking them on a psychedelic journey that left audiences lost. Even Nolan's most out-of-order movies have never attempted this risky feat. Nolan's movies, successfully, explain everything. The Prestige, Interstellar, and Inception made complicated premises accessible. The fact that Nolan's movies always explain themselves isn't a bad thing. On the contrary, Nolan's movies have made heavy themes digestible by explaining their stories, and it is tough to think of many other directors who could clarify the plots of Inception or Memento. That said, Nolan's approach isn't necessarily a good fit for his upcoming remake. The Prisoner's trippy visuals did influence some of Oppenheimer's more ambitiously weird sequences, so it is clear that Nolan has a lot of love for the series. This doesn't change the fact that its bizarre story is antithetical to his logic-driven storytelling style. Nolan's movies make sense despite their complexity, whereas The Prisoner was inscrutable despite its apparent simplicity. On its face, the miniseries was a show about a man stuck on an island who tries to escape and unmask his captors. However, the reason that Nolan's remake of The Prisoner could fail is that the show was so much more than that. Critics could read The Prisoner as a condemnation of collectivist ideology, a satire of government overreach, a Cold War parable, a hallucination brought on by imperial guilt, or a parody of spy media precisely because the miniseries never explained itself. One divisive Nolan movie makes The Prisoner's challenge harder. Tenet's mixed reviews cited Nolan's underexplanation as a flaw. Some critics of Nolan's 2020 thriller Tenet said that the movie's metaphysical elements should have been explained more thoroughly, but that's the opposite of what the enigmatic, cryptic The Prisoner calls for. As such, if Nolan can loosen his grip on rational storytelling, The Prisoner could succeed and usher in a new era for him in the process. Already, Tenet and Nolan's biopic Oppenheimer succeeded by taking on a more hallucinatory, trippy style than his earlier work. The Prisoner may see Nolan double down on this approach, proving that he can create a story without clear answers. If The Prisoner is to succeed, it will be because Nolan has let go of the logic that anchors most of his work. The Prisoner's success was rooted in the daring decision to never offer a clear explanation of the world of the miniseries and the events that Number 2 experienced. Nolan has already proven that he has the stylistic chops to direct a remake of the series, but only Tenet and Oppenheimer have hinted at his ability to leave big plot questions unanswered. As such, Christopher Nolan's next movie will be a major challenge for the director.